Hey everybody, what is up? It's Devin, LaVore, and
Michelle LaVore
coming at ya. And we just want to say welcome to the channel. Welcome to 2020, a year of oil and spices.
Yes.
Hope you guys are getting oiled up by the presence of the Lord. Anyway, I wonder if oil just means something different to everybody, you know, how God's going to be working and manifesting. I tell you what, God is definitely manifesting in our lives this year. This is like, it's amazing. We're going to get into it. But hey, welcome to the channel. We're just going to share our hearts with you, what God's put on our heart, and hope it blesses you guys. And we are a support-based channel, so if you want to give to us, we have a PayPal link below, and it really just helps us to stay where we're at and where God has us, and helps us to eat, you know. And and as we go into this weekend, and particularly next week, we just pray that you guys would remember us. Just prayerfully consider giving to us. And yeah. And so I think we should just jump right in.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think so.
Because there is a lot to tell again.
Yes. So.
But also, wait, I forgot to say thank you. I always forget to say thank you when I'm so excited about a message. I'm just like, okay, let's get the announcements out the way. Okay, let's go. But huge thank you to those who do give to us. Huge. Okay, can I just give a big huge? You see it in all my emails. Huge thank you. You have no idea. This is amazing. Thank you. So, thank you. Okay, now we can jump in.
All right.
You were just getting ready to dip your foot in the water, and I was like, whoa, hold on.
Don't go yet.
Shepherd staff. You know?
All right. So today we really just kind of wanted to talk about just how the Lord has been working and moving.
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing.
For us just this week. But really, I feel like God's just kind of given us this broader picture of what he's doing and has been doing since the beginning of this year and entering into the new land. And so right at the beginning of this year, literally like January 1st, you had the vision of just a person with their guitar standing in this open field, and the first thing that the Lord was saying is like, build me an altar.
It was an open field ready to be built on.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, it's time to just worship. Build me an altar. Mm-hmm. And we've been there, or we were there for like ended up being 21 days. 21 days. We did not plan that. Did not plan that, but that's just kind of how the Lord was moving with us. And so on the 21st, God just, that night, it was just, there was a real shift in the spirit, mm-hmm. but that night we just ended up praying over Devin, and that's why I felt like the Lord was like, you know, for that God time, I was like, all right, Lord, what do you want us to do, and stuff like that. And
well, was that the morning where I was feeling something different in that mm-hmm. God time? I was like, man, I don't know what's going on, guys. I feel something different. I almost felt like the altar time was over, the worship, building the altar. I was like, I don't know, but I didn't have any. It was like, and so we started talking about signs of pregnancy. Mm-hmm. And now you may not even know that you're pregnant, but you start seeing these signs in your body, and you feel differently, and the smell of chicken makes you want to throw up. Anyway.
No, I'm not pregnant.
It's like, so what's going on?
Think that.
Yeah. That's true. It's like, is she? Oh, okay.
No.
I was excited. Thank you for busting my shell. My shell? Thank you for busting my bubble. My shell. Not busting my shell, my bubble. Anyway. Welcome to the channel. We have fun here. But, so I was just feeling something different. And then I was like, it's like signs of pregnancy. You just know something's different. Something has happened. Something is manifested. You know, the long-awaited promise. You know, kind of like facing the giants. She started feeling sick. And she was like, I don't know what's going on. And it was like, she didn't even think, you're pregnant. Hello. Yeah. The thing that you've been wanting all this time. Here it is. It's finally happening. She wasn't even thinking about it because she had gone through so much disappointment. Yeah. So she was like, this can't be it. It's not even in my realm of possibility.
Yeah.
You know? So it was really cool. And then that night was really awesome.
Night was, we were just had a prayer time over Devin, and it was like there was just, our son just saw the picture of the Lord pouring oil upon his head, and it was just like, and actually that day we also were getting Psalm 133, which is about the oil being poured over Aaron, who was the high priest. over his head, and
yeah.
it just drips down and covers and consecrates the whole
body.
The whole body. And
awesome.
So it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And a lot of times, you build an altar, and then there would be just a ceremony or a pouring. And so that's really kind of what the Lord did. And the next day, it was very different. We still have like it's like we still continue with just, our God times and worshiping, but you can tell in the spirit when you're being drawn into a time of worship, and then there's just, you continue to worship, but it's not that same spiritual atmosphere of just like...
Well, it's like when Jesus was like, okay, Rick, you can't be in this paradise garden place forever.
Yes.
Come on, we got to go up the mountain. I got other things to show you. And he's like, I just want to stay right here forever. He's like, that'll come in eternity. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. And so what actually started on the 22nd was that the Lord is starting to release or thaw out some of the things that have been frozen in our life. Things that the Lord has said, hey, I want you to just put this down for a time and a season. And we've had that placed down.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, we're not picking it up until you release this. And he started to release this.
And there's been several times where you're like, Lord, how about now? Can we start now? How about that? Can we pick that thing back up again now? Every time's been like, no. But now the Lord is like, hey, go ahead. I'm releasing you to start moving in this direction, to start going. And it was like, whoa. And immediately I was thinking of, I was reminded of the Chronicles of Narnia. That just seems to be a thing right now, doesn't it?
It is. But it's
the last one was when the what was it? No, never mind. Keep going. I'm gonna mess this up.
So anyway, I was reminded of the Chronicles of Narnia. It's like when, as soon as Lucy comes into Narnia, things started changing, and so she leaves. But then when she comes back, again, you notice, whoa, it's not as frozen. They start seeing some changes. But then when all 4 of the children go to Narnia, it's like things really start changing. They were stuck. They were frozen in a time where it was always winter and never Christmas. And then it's like Christmas comes. And then the snow is just melting and things are changing. The trees are, it's basically going from winter into spring. And it was this rapid shift and change.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, I really believe that the Lord is doing that in our life. And where it's like, God's like, I'm starting to release things. Again, actually, even yesterday, the Lord released us to speak into an area that it was like, this has been on hold and has been
for 2 years.
To just like
easy.
Not to
don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
And it was one of those confusing things because I was like, Lord, how can you? It was like the tares, where the enemy came and he sowed tares, and then it was like, Lord, do you want us to go take them up? I love how the servants had the wisdom to say, do you want us to do that?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother video. But it's like they said, do you want us to go tear them up? Because in our own understanding, that's definitely what we should be doing.
Yeah.
And the master was like, no, let it grow up. It's like, what? How can you do that? It was one of those kind of things. And then there came a point where it's like, okay, now it's the time of maturity. It can be clearly seen that this thing is. So there was a readdressing of something that's like, God's like, don't touch it. Don't mess with it. Leave the issues alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that's
but then
awesome.
The Lord was like, okay, I'm releasing you to go ahead and address the issue. And so we're just seeing these things, and it's like, okay, wow. Like, there is a newness of what God is doing, and there is a change. There is a thawing of things, and there is just a new direction that the Lord is sending us in, and it's so clear. And it really has started from the beginning of this year. Of just like entering into the new land. And it's like, well, it may not look different, but it really is, because the Lord is like, yeah, I'm telling you, Like, I am doing new things for you this year, and you are in a new place. You are in a new place spiritually, and the first thing I wanted you to do is build me an altar, to just worship me, to praise me, and have that establish all these things.
Yeah.
And
now it really does look different now that these things are being released to us, and we're, just things are happening.
Yeah.
And so now it actually is looking different. And it's like, whoa, this is like really, really happening.
Yeah.
So like when you're in a time of hiddenness, and when you're in a time of, you're really in the thick of receiving the prophetic word and God building up faith for the prophetic word, things aren't going to be happening.
Yeah.
And there's going to be, and even the signs that you receive are just signs given to prove, like, hey, this is from me, this is a prophetic word, it will happen at some point, but it's like there's a scripture, what is it, Song of Solomon 2:13, I think it is, where it says, the winter has passed. The time of singing has come, and it talks about all these different signs that are popping up to prove that the winter really is gone. And it's like you can see buds and greenery and singing birds and all that stuff. It's like that's kind of like what's happening. Like the significance. I know we're not giving details, because it's not really necessary. But it's like there are things that literally like since we've been doing this journey, the Lord has put so much stuff on hold.
Yeah. And
it's like, should we do this? Should we not do this? And so like as God's like literally like saying, okay, let's do this. We're like, what? This is definitely different, because all the other years, 2017, 2018, 2019, there was no release of these things.
Yeah. And
I'm just like, oh, okay. So like every day now we're waking up going, what are you going to do today? What are you releasing today? What's happening today? So it's like, do we have like a great big huge like a bunch of money dumped in our lap? No. Are we living in our home? No. We're still here, so we're obviously not on a road trip. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like there are certain, it's like God's like when he transitions you, he does it in a smooth way and with kindness. It's like that's why you need the oil, because it will lubricate the works, so that as we're transitioning, that's because I feel like that's what we're kind of doing. It's like even in nature, when spring begins, it comes on slowly at first, and then like a couple weeks later you look out and there's green just everywhere. When it seemed like just a month ago all the trees are just completely barren, like they are right now out my window. They're just there's not a leaf on the tree. And it's like, and so it's like when you start to see that, you don't doubt that spring is coming.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like, whoa. It's like when you have those early signs of pregnancy and you realize, oh, wow, you know what? Let's take a pregnancy test. Whoa, you're pregnant. Okay. It's like you don't doubt it then. You're like, the little stick says yes. You know what I mean? and so that begins a process. We were talking about Sarah and how when the Lord came to her and visited her, and it's like she became pregnant, and it's like, oh my gosh, and all the signs of pregnancy were happening, I bet, for like 9 straight months. She was like, this is crazy. Is this really happening? This is crazy. She didn't just go from, hey, Sarah, here I am to visit you. Boom, you're 9 months pregnant. No, it doesn't happen like that. It's like when I finally met Michelle, once I met Michelle, my urge to see the desire fulfilled, it just dissolved. It went away, because it was like, oh, you're it. Once I had it, I wasn't like, okay, come on, let's hurry up and get married. It wasn't like that. It was just like, oh yes, now let's just take our time. Let's just walk this out. Let's just, but not too long now. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that's kind of like where we're at right now. And I know this is more of a kind of another little story time thing that we're doing here. But I believe that as we tell our story and what God's doing in our life, it's going to reflect in other people's lives. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, oh my God, oh my word, And so we're just here to tell you that there are signs, there are clear signs happening that God is truly like manifesting stuff. I mean, I wish we could tell you the significance of the release the releases that God has done. It's just like, wow. If you knew our story, you'd be like, whoa, he let you do that again? Wow, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and so I'm just saying, like, there's some significant stuff happening.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool. And we're kind of blown away. Can you tell that we're kind of struggling? We don't even know what to say. Like, what do we even say? Because because we're really filled with a bunch of excitement to like, oh God, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? For the last 4 mornings in a row. Well, I've been waking up at 9:09, like literally at 9:09. And then the third day, I didn't wake up at 9:09. I woke up at 7:07. But then later that night, I looked at the clock randomly. It was 9:09 p.m.
Yeah.
And then this morning, I got woken up. But then as I woke up and I looked, I'm looking at a clock that says 9:09. And if you read Genesis 9:9, it talks about I'm going to establish God's talking with Noah, and he's saying, I'm going to establish my covenant with you. So what does that mean when we hear it, when that word comes to someone like myself or you? It just means, hey, I have the word that I spoke over your life, I'm going to fulfill.
Yep.
I am going to fulfill it. I'm going to establish it. And it's like, it's not about a time frame. It's not about, oh, this is the year and all that stuff. I totally believe this is the year. Well, you've been saying that for the last 3 years. I know. God help me. Just work with me. Bless me. Forgive me. You know what I mean? I thought the Lord was, but but the bottom line is, I'm to the place right now where I'm not even caring about the time frame. Mm-hmm. I'm just more like, wow, God, what are you doing? And I can see that the Lord this is what I feel like the Lord is saying, and what he's doing is like, he's working things out layer upon layer, like one thing at a time. He doesn't, even the releases that he's releasing in our life, he's not going to be like, oh, I'm releasing this today, and I'm releasing this today, and I'm releasing this today, and it's going to be a release every single day. Because that can be too much. Mm-hmm. And he's like, the Lord's like, you don't want to do that. When the promise begins to happen, you need to let it unfold.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to let it happen. Even in nature, there's just not, oh, it's the 21st, and then poof, all the trees are green and there's flowers everywhere. It's like, no, just let it happen. Let the beauty of it all take place.
Yeah.
And I just kind of feel like that's what's happening. It's like God, in his wisdom, is allowing things to just unfold. And that's one of the things that we've been sensing also, is like the unfolding. There's a couple different things that have been coming to us, like the unfolding of things and the fullness of the love of God, like the fullness of things. Like, we've gotten things in part, and we've seen in part, and all that stuff. And you're never going to not have that prophesy in part and see in part, but sometimes you can only have part of the part. You know what I mean? And so God's been saying, like, the fullness. What is the fullness? The fullness is seeing the promise come to pass, seeing the fruition of it. Having Sarah hold Isaac in her hand, that's the fullness of the promise for them and their generation.
Yeah.
They're not going to see the full-blown fullness of it because they'd still have to be alive today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, as far as our leg of the race for our family line, there's a fullness that God has for us that then we will pass on to our kids, and then that will just be a beginning for them. They'll have the baton, and it's like the beginning of their race, and then there's a fullness that God has for them as well.
Yeah.
And I just really believe that God's like showing us that those things are like happening right now. Yeah. And I finished that at 9:09. 9 minutes and 9 seconds. I don't know what it's saying on the video there on the counter, but I just finished my little speech at 9 minutes and 9 seconds of this clip. So, hallelujah.
But just kind of
it's not going to say 9:09 on the clock,
no.
but on the YouTube timer.
but kind of going with that is we've been seeing kind of paired with the 909 is the 144, and it really represents the house. And I just really feel
more
like
than
God,
I've ever seen it. Ever.
God is saying, like, he is coming to his house, like not just our family, and of course our house is our heart, you know, in the covenant and the relationship that he has with each of us individually, but he's coming to his house as a whole, like the body of Christ. And he's like, I'm coming to establish my covenant, and I'm coming into the lives of those who have we talked about, who finished the race, who have pressed through, gone through everything that I've asked them to, and I'm coming to establish in their lives the very things that I've spoken for them to believe for. And so it's like you're going to start seeing those things come to pass. You're going to start seeing like a thawing out, maybe things that the Lord has frozen in your own life, things that he's asked you to put down, where now he's like, hey, okay, let's pick these things back up. Now, be also aware that there are things that the Lord might have cut off or taken and removed, and those are not things you're going to pick up again.
Right. But by the same Spirit, you will know it.
Yeah.
God will just let you know.
Yeah, because there are things that the Lord has separated you from, and there is a reason that he's separated you from. He's not going to be like, okay, now go back and pick that back up. No. That's not.
No, that's dead. That's supposed to stay dead.
But there are things in our lives where maybe the Lord has asked you to lay something down for a time and a season. And now the Lord, he can, by his Spirit, he might be saying, okay, it's time to pick that back up. And start but again, it's always walk with the Spirit in those things. Yeah. Because just because you pick it up, you have to know what to do with it now. You're in a new land, a new place, and that's why it's so important to place God first, to have that altar, to just be continually going to him with whatever it is that he has you picking up. So I think this is really just kind of what we had to share with you guys today. It's kind of a very short version. I mean, seriously, we could make like videos probably every day about just kind of what the Lord is doing, but it really is, the heart is that it's like, hey, we have entered the new land, and
the first thing you did was build an altar,
but
now we're going to start releasing some stuff.
And it's like God is coming, and he's like I've come. It's not he is coming, it's like I have come, and I am establishing with my church, with my people, the covenant, the promises that I have in their life. And
it's no longer a promise to establish.
No.
It is an establishing. That means it's happening.
Just like when the Lord came and visited Abraham, and he's like, hey, you are going to receive the promise. And it was like he established that. Sarah became pregnant, and yes, there was a process involved in that, but it's like she's pregnant. That
was 25 years after he got called.
Yeah.
I've known the Lord for 25 years. It only seems fitting.
Yeah.
It'll be worth the wait.
Yes. And so it's just that the things that the Lord has maybe put upon your hearts. I know there's so many who it's like it's been years, decades even, of what the Lord has placed upon your heart, the things that he has sown into you, and he's saying like, I am coming to establish that in your life. And so it's like, I just really believe that the Lord is saying, like, for my house, I'm coming to establish my covenant, not only just for you, but for your descendants. This is a generational thing that the Lord is doing. It's not just, okay, well, here's your promise, that's it. It's like with Abraham and Sarah, where it's like, it's a generational thing. Your descendants are going to be as numerous as the sea on the shore and the stars in the sky.
He's building up Abraham's house.
Exactly.
It's kind of a touching on the 144 thing as well.
Yeah.
And even the walls of the New Jerusalem have a 144 in it. That's how thick the walls are.
Yeah.
In our last video, we were talking about building an altar and building walls.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's part of building. It's part of what God's doing,
Yeah. And so, I don't know, it is just truly, I'm truly just excited to see what the Lord is going to be doing.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm borderline anxious.
Yeah.
I'm just like, come on, what are you going to do? I want to see something amazing, I guess. Like that kid from Incredibles. He's like, what do you want, kid? What do you want to look for? What did he say? What did he say?
I don't know. You're asking
what are you looking for? Oh, yeah. I should get Joe in on this video. He'll tell us the exact thing. But anyway, that's what you're looking for, And I'm like, but it's like, you got to really walk it out.
Yeah.
Because excitement can really come in and mess things up.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting to see these things actually happen. I mean, these are actually real things that God's saying, I want you to go back into that. It's like, okay, now I want this to happen. And then today's been kind of like nothing has happened yet, but the Lord's like, that's important.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to, you need to know I'm not going to be like releasing every single day this thing and that thing and that thing, because you'll be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, okay, oh, I see what you're doing there. I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just, your will be done. We mean it.
Yeah. You know, it really does. He works, it's like working in layers. It's like, all right, well, the first thing is, you've been waiting all this time to do a certain thing, you know, and now the Lord's like,
here you go.
Okay, the first thing is, here's this, and you can go out and do that. And
just the excitement of that thing, you know, and it has nothing to do with, anyway, just the excitement of that thing was enough.
Yeah.
And so the Lord's like saying, see, you imagine the excitement of greater things. It's like, let's just take it one step at a time, shall we?
Yeah. The Lord knows what He's doing.
You want to enjoy it. You don't want to be crushed by the pressure of things, you know?
Yeah.
You want to enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were saying that you were excited before I interrupted to tell them about how I was excited. Yeah. So go ahead and keep telling them how you're excited.
But I am. I'm just excited to see as the Lord just unfolds things, as He continues to work and move, what He's going to do, how, as we see just, you know, the ice melt, the seasons change in our life. I think it will just be truly awesome, and so I'm just looking forward to it. And really, I think if anything, it's been so great to just see like the Lord just kind of showing like you are really in a different place, really and are. It's like things are changing, things are moving, and I am working all of this together. You know, I was telling the kids last night, it was kind of like He has the agenda for the day. You know, if you were planning something for a person, and it's like, okay, today's the day I'm gonna, you know, do their surprise. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, you've got your whole list, you know what you're doing, but that person doesn't. But you're just like, oh, it's going to be so good. But the first thing, let's just hang out together. We're going to, you know, go out on the porch and just chill and talk. And it's like, okay, we did that for a while. And it's like, you just thoroughly enjoy that moment. And then it's like, ooh, okay, let's go have some breakfast together. And you're eating breakfast, you know. And
you said it wrong.
Breakfast.
No, you're still saying it wrong. You got to get some breakfast. Let's go have some breakfast. That's how I say it. Get some breakfast.
Anyway, but then it's
that's not really how I say it. It's just fun to say it that way.
But then it's like, you know what the agenda is. You know what's coming next. But and it's like that's the person as the Lord. The Lord knows what He's doing. He has all of it planned out. Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm right here. But, you know, with the Lord, He's like, I'm bringing it in, and He is thoroughly enjoying every moment with you and how He's bringing things into your life. And you might not see that next step that He's going to take, but it's like you can tell,
He's got it on the agenda.
Today is different.
Yeah.
This is not a normal day. And so it's like, it's just like that, you know, if I was doing a special day for you and unannounced, it'd be like, wait a minute.
I would know.
What's going on today? What are you doing?
But I wouldn't want to try to spoil it by bugging you and what's the agenda? Tell me what you have, everything you have planned. It's like, just go with the flow, man.
Just follow.
Just go with the flow, bro.
Trust me, you're going to love it, you know?
Ooh, that's a prophetic word for 2020 right there. Yeah. Trust me, you're going to love it.
Yep. And so we just need to continue to trust the Lord.
Yep.
Because what He has planned, it's good. And
sun went down again.
It did.
Go hiding behind the clouds.
It's either too bright or too dark.
It's like, we'll just keep it like this.
Yes.
No more stops.
But so I think that's all that we have for you guys
Super
today.
Exciting.
And we just pray that you guys are blessed and that just let us know in the comments if the Lord is moving in your life, how He's doing things for you.
We're excited to hear from you guys, like what might be happening for you.
Yeah.
If you want to comment.
Yeah, if you want to share.
A lot of stuff is private, That's one of the things the Lord one of the words God gave me in 2019. He's like, some of the things I'm going to be doing in people's lives are going to be private just for them, and not to be like, oh, let's give a testimony to everybody to see what God's done. It's like the leper who came to be cleansed. It's like, hey, this is an amazing thing that Jesus just did in my life, this Messiah guy, and he literally told me to don't tell anybody about it. You might have that. Mm-hmm. You might really want to tell, but if the Lord's saying don't tell anybody, then don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But it's like, but if you can, there's a comment thing below. Start typing.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
You're like, are we done?
Yeah.
Are we really done? Let me see. Is there another addendum coming? We can't have a video without interruptions and addendums.
Yes.
So.
It's on the docket.
Yep. Oh, this is where Devin interrupts. Oh, great. Yep, on time. Right there.
But, all right, guys. Until next time, we just so appreciate each and every one of you, and we will see you soon.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.